Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, today is July 17. I shot a couple of videos, but earlier today here in Taiwan, we were quarantined for about half an hour for a missile drill. We're getting ready for potential conflict with China. And it got me reflecting again on the concept of remote work and the concept of how fast paced our lives really do have to be. And I don't think they have to be. So uh, obviously it was only half an hour. It'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to see what all got done during this half hour. Right. After all, we got very good digital records nowadays. And granted, a lot of people were probably in their office while it happened, so it probably didn't really affect that much. What I did notice was that the few people who snuck out, because I had a third floor of hotel room. What I did notice was that the few people who snuck out on the street, it was technically illegal. You could get a fine of up to 1 million Taiwanese dollars, about 30,000 US. Not sure how many people actually got caught or got fined, because I think this is the first time in a while the Taiwanese people did this. Obviously, we did have just like everybody else, Taiwan also had the pandemic, so I think they were pretty strict on restrictions back then. So I wouldn't be surprised if a few people got caught and got made an example of, just in case the real stuff happens. But the few people who snuck out, guess what they were out doing? Smoking! I'm so glad I caught some of that on camera, because that makes for a really good PSA. Look at how addictive smoking is, right? Nobody went out to break the rules. Not even people who went out people didn't break out to have a fun time. They didn't break out because they were late picking up their kids or something. They didn't break out because they were bored out of their jobs, right? No, they went out to smoke. They risked 30,000 US dollars to go out to smoke. That's not the worst risk I've seen people. I've seen people risk life just to. I was living in Rochester, New York. We had a big snowstorm. Everybody was stuck in the college campus. This was like 2010. And people would go outside the building to smoke. I don't know why they didn't just break the rules and smoke inside the building. Thank God they didn't. But they went out to smoke. And when people ran out of cigarettes, first they started begging everybody else in the campus. Nobody was going to give up their stash because of the dire situation. And then they actually trekked out to go get cigarettes. It was like their cars couldn't move. They hiked like a mile each way to get the cigarettes. Well, they went out and they never came back, because then they got stuck in whatever grocery store they went to get the cigarettes. And but nice slow pace of life, and life didn't end, and I'm sure a lot of work got done, a lot of creative stuff. I came up with a Lego build while I was stuck in there because I was late getting to this new hotel. And it makes you wonder, why do we need to return to the office, right? um, this will make you angry, but figure out how many minutes you spend commuting, and don't just count the driving time. Think about how many minutes you spend doing stuff that you have to in order to work in the office compared to working from home, right? Driving's obviously the big one, but even some other things, right? You probably don't have to dress nearly as well if you don't have to head out. Your schedule's probably a lot more flexible. Your bedtime's probably a lot more flexible. The other thing that annoys me, and this one isn't necessarily time, but I find that the rigidness of the workday really affects my eating disorders. It's a lot easier for me to keep a lid on how and what I eat when I have freedom to do it however I want. And so when I did the math, this really upset me. I took the amount of time that I had to spend uh, due to having to work from the office, multiply that by how many days, right? You have to, and multiply that by how many years in your career, and it was like, gee, I'm giving up one retirement just from that, right? Think about how long your typical retirement is 10, 15 years. You're probably throwing away another retirement. Not to mention, our generation probably can't even retire in the first place. And then to throw away another retirement during our working years. And this not being able to control when and where I eat and sleep probably shaves quite a few years off of my life too, right? So I'm giving up probably a decade of life just to drive and dress, and then another decade of lost life expectancy due to not being able to manage my health as well as if I were working from home, right? When I did the math, it was very upsetting. It was very upsetting. It really was. I encourage you to think about this, right? Think about how much time you spend because you have to work from the office, right? So driving is probably the big one, but there's probably a few other ancillary costs as well. Think about all the money that has to be spent, and don't forget that money you need time to earn that too, right? So add up that time as well, and then estimate how many years of lost life expectancy due to all the stresses of driving and not being able to eat and sleep the way that would be optimal, right? It's probably a good 30 or so years if you add all of those costs together. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.